Hello, my name is Rachel and I'm a member of the Executive Committee of the Teton Photography Club. Now we have a really exciting meeting coming up this month. On Wednesday, April the 21st at 6 p.m. Mountain Time on Zoom, we're going to be doing a meeting called Post-Processing Challenge. And basically we're going to share tips and tricks of ways that you can process your images once they come out of the camera. Now what we've done is we've placed 9 raw images in a Dropbox folder, and I'm going to put the link down here. So you can go there, browse the images, find one you like and process it any way you like using any kind of software you like. But today I want to show you a really simple new tool that Photoshop have introduced called the sky replacement tool. Now this is really a very simple click and drop way to make a brand new sky in an image that you've got. And I'm going to use an image today from one of the 9 images that photographers have donated for this meeting. This one here by Michael Cohen is perfect for the sky replacement tool. So what I'm going to do is just open this in Lightroom, just do a really quick auto adjustment, and then I'm going to open it in Photoshop. So I'm going to go into the photo menu in Lightroom, go edit in Adobe Photoshop, and take it into Photoshop, and then I'll show you how to replace the sky. So here it is in Photoshop. Now all you have to do, this is so simple, is you just go Photoshop, edit, sky replacement, and then it brings up this dialog box here for you. And in this panel called sky, if you click on that, it's got a whole bunch of preloaded skies that you can just drop in. And they're categorized as blue sky, spectacular, or sunsets. So let's just have a look at some of these and click through them. So all you have to do is click on the sky, and as long as you have the preview selected, it'll just give you a preview. And look at that, so simple. It just adds a new sky for you just like that. Let's have a look at some of the other preloaded options. So hey, let's add a rainbow, why not? If you want to add some stormy skies, you can add a dramatic stormy sky. Here's something that's even more dramatic. That's probably not really appropriate for this image. I mean, that's important too. You want to pick something that matches the light that was occurring at the time you took the photo of the attractor. So obviously this photo was probably taken during the day, so it's probably not going to suit a sunset shot. And if you do a preview of a sunset, you'll see that it just doesn't look right. It looks wrong. So let's go back to the blue skies, which is probably more suitable for this particular image. I think this one worked okay actually. That looks pretty good. So let's click back onto here. And so it also gives you these fine tuning tools where you can adjust the brightness of the sky. So you can brighten it up. You can adjust the temperature. You can make it more blue or maybe less blue. I think that looks pretty good. And you can scale it. So you can zoom in on the clouds, make them bigger if you want. That looks a bit weird. So let's go back to 100%. And you could flip it. So if you don't like the orientation, you can flip it. And then you've got some other options down here for lighting and color that you can play with if you want. Now, the important thing too here is that it lets you choose if you want to save these adjustments as new layers in Photoshop. And that means that you can then also fine tune it further later on. So here, it then gives you all those adjustments it just made as separate layers in Photoshop that you can then go and adjust even further. We're not going to talk about that today. It's a bit too complicated for this kind of demonstration. But what I want you to see then is you can just turn that on and turn it off, and you can see what it's done. So there you go. Very, very simple. Click and drop and you have a new sky. So you might be thinking, well, that's really cute and novel, but what am I going to ever do with that? Well, I'm glad you asked. So now I'm going to show you a real world application for the sky replacement tool. And one that's ideal for this kind of tool is when you're shooting sunsets. And so here I've got some images I took in Canyonlands National Park over Christmas. The biggest problem you have with shooting sunsets obviously is you're shooting into the sun. So if you expose for the foreground correctly, the sky is blown out. If you expose for the sky correctly, the foreground's too dark. And so you frequently have to do 2 shots and then combine them. Now the old-fashioned way to combine them would be to go into Photoshop, you have to create a mask, you've got to fiddle around with layers, it takes ages, it's really complicated, until now, because now you can just use the sky replacement tool. So let me show you how that's going to work. So here I have an image which I've exposed for the foreground correctly, but you can see there's pretty much no sky left. So let's open this up in Photoshop. So again, we go Lightroom, Photo, Edit in Adobe Photoshop, and it's going to open that up for me. So here's my image, and now I want to replace the sky with that sky image that I took. So again, I go Photoshop, Edit, Sky Replacement. Now, I have these preloaded skies that Photoshop already put in there, but what I can do is add my own sky. So there's a little plus button here, and I'm going to add my sunset shot to the sunsets folder. So here I have on my desktop a folder called Sunset Skies. I've saved that image that I took at the same time. I'm going to load that in to Photoshop. So it's going to ask me to name that sunset sky. So I'm going to call it Sunset Canyonlands and there, it drops it in just like that. So as before, you do get these fine-tuning tools that you can use after. You can change the brightness of that sky. You can adjust the temperature. And what I would probably do with this image once I've finished with it is adjust the snow a little bit. It's a little bit blue. It probably should be a bit more yellow if it's reflecting the sunset. But basically, it does it for you in a few seconds. And so now I can turn the sky off. I can turn it on. I can turn it off. I can turn it on. Voila! I have a sunset, and it took me no time at all. So please join us on Wednesday, April the 21st at 6 p.m. for the post-processing challenge meeting, where we'll be sharing lots of other tips and tricks for ways to process your images out of the camera.